Willie, last week, Coach Roya was saying that when Justin came back, there would definitely be some rust, just given that the time he was off. Did you see any of that in the game, or was he pretty much back to normal?
I guess if you want to just try to pick out some things, you can. Was he as sharp as you want him to be? No. There are a couple of reads where I think he'll take back after seeing the game, knowing some simple things that he could have done and helped us out a couple of times. But for the most part, I thought he was on, and it started with that run for the first touchdown, and that was crazy, for him to just take off and run for 40 yards and score. That was big for our entire football team.
All right, Steve.
Willie, with Royce playing through pain this year, have you had to manage him at all practice-wise to keep him ready for games? And has he kind of shown or proven something to you being able to go each Saturday when you know what he's dealing with?
Yeah, we slow some things down for him throughout the season, where he'll get a lot of mental reps on Tuesdays and then go out on Wednesday and get some reps so he can get himself in some rhythm in what we're doing. So we did that for pretty much the latter part of the season, and I think it helped him big time. Like I say, he hadn't been 100%, but he's been going, and I think taking some load off of him helped big time.
All right,
Coach, we've seen injuries this year, like in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers going down, Zeke Elliott going down, and the team's not playing, even close to as well as they can. Obviously, your case with Justin, why is it that one player, he's obviously really good, but makes that much difference for a football team?
Well, you look around the country and seeing a team that lost their starting quarterback, it's been a struggle for a lot of them. And that's not just in NFL or college, even in high school. That guy, especially at the quarterback position, usually get all the reps. You get a majority of the reps. And I think when you're a guy, you're the guy, and you're the franchise, and everyone see you as that. It's not just your offense; it's your entire football team that lose a little bit of themselves. And I think what we saw on Saturday was the entire football team was excited to have Justin back out there, and they all played that way.
Right middle, Matt.
2 of the last 3 games, Tony's had season highs for rushing yards. What's clicked for him, and how you feel like going into the end of the season and into next year for him?
I think our offensive line starts there. Our offensive line and doing a great job, and then we started running some plays that Tony ran really well. We started running those plays a lot more, and when we have our offensive line playing the way that it is, and being able to get it into those guys' hand, Tony or Royce, any of those guys, it always helped. But I think putting some plays in to capitalize on what he can do for us has been big for us.
On the right towards the back, Jonathan.
Willie, going into the game against Arizona, you said obviously the biggest challenge was going to be stopping Khalil Tate. But when you look at everything with it, obviously the defense wasn't happy giving up 28 points. But when you look at the challenge that was presented, would you say that was one of the best defensive games of the season for your squad?
Yeah, considering what we were going up against, and you look at the 28 points, there was those are things that we could have controlled, especially with some of the penalties that extended some drives to get them down there. And then the one interception where they were down there, so they didn't have far to go. But I thought, considering how explosive Arizona had been against everyone else, for our guys to go and hold them down like they did, I thought that was big time, And again, having a bye week, I thought Jim and the defensive staff did a good job of putting a nice, simple game plan together so our guys can go out and play fast and use their athletic ability to help us against a good football team. And by being simple, our guys were a lot more disciplined in what they had to do, and were in position to make those plays, and that made a difference.
Ryan, front right.
After the Cal game, did you ever consider putting Dimitri Birch in as quarterback, given his skill set, and going with that style, or do you have him kind of ticketed as a wide receiver?
No, I actually, sorry about that. I actually after seeing him going against our defense this past week, I was like, geez, if I'd have known that, maybe we could have, But again, at that time, Demetrius hadn't been playing any quarterback. He had been with the receivers down on the scout team, giving our defense a look. And then so we brought him back over there to just have some depth at the position once Justin went down. Justin went down, and then Taylor was down too. So he was probably one guy down, close to getting in, So, we have a spot for him on this football team, and he's gonna be pretty good for us. He's one of those guys that we have to find a way to put the ball in his hand because he's special with it. He showed all of us. There's no hiding him on this football team. They all know that he can play and help.
On the left, Rob.
You mentioned the penalties, and you've been trending in the right direction the previous few games.
Mm-hmm.
Do you just chalk that up to that being a particularly chippy game? Any overriding concerns that the positive momentum was lost in that regard?
No, I wouldn't say any. I wouldn't say it was lost. Again, we were all there. We saw the game, and you have those things. I think it's one of those games where another teaching moment for you. You can teach your guys just how to respond to things. You heard me say after the game, our guys got to be tough enough to walk away, and that's tough to do, But we got to equate that to being selfish when we say that. You can't be mentally weak and retaliate with a guy because now we get a personal foul, they extend the drive and keep going, and that hurts the team more than anything. So you try to learn from that, and I thought our guys did better in the second half. We got it under control, and things were better. So that's one of those things, again, teaching moment. The ones that really get you is the false starts and like I say, personal foul, because those are all things that you can control. So those are the ones we got to make sure that we correct and not allow to happen. The one thing I will say, the positive is on our football team, I thought, especially on offense, we overcame some of those penalties that hurt us. And a lot of times you don't get that. So whenever you do shoot yourself in the foot, you got to be good enough to respond and get yourself going again. And our guys were able to do that.
Second row, middle, Austin.
Willie, I think this will be the first time we have two black head coaches in the Civil War. Is that significant to you? What do you feel like that means?
I didn't even think about that, to be honest with you. I don't even have an answer for you. You caught me off guard with that one. That would just hit me. Two ball coaches that I hope this coach over here wins. Let's kind of look at it's Oregon versus Oregon State, and two teams that don't like each other. And we got that bitter taste in our mouth that we had in our mouth for an entire year. And I don't think our guys want that taste anymore. So you got to come out ready to roll, and you can throw the records out in a ball game like this. You got to come ready to play, and the best team, the team that plays the best, be the team that wins.
For you, have you seen any change in the opportunities for young black coaches since the time you got into the business till now?
Yeah, you seen more get hired. I know the one thing that helped me throughout it all, you always wonder why not many African Americans or minorities get hired. And the one thing that helped me is an athletic director coming in at our minority coaching seminar that we went to, and he was talking about actually that the AD was Ward Manuel, AD at Michigan. But he said it's not that minorities can't be a head coach. A lot of times they lose the job on interviews, and those things you take for granted, and so I made sure that I was always prepare myself for that moment to when you get in front of them to make sure you do a good job. And so that's the one thing that helped me. And again, I'm a true believer in that. It's not that we can't. You got to be ready when that time comes and take advantage of it. So and that's part of planning if that's something you want to be.
Gus on the left, middle.
Could you talk about the term War Daddy a little bit? I know you called Royce it after the game, and you called Henry War Daddy a couple weeks ago. Just where does that term come from, and when did you kind of first start using it?
I can't remember. Probably at Western Kentucky or something. think I heard another coach say it about one of the old linemen, and kind of one of those things that just stuck with you. You know what it's supposed to look like when you see it. You know, it's not hard to describe. You just see those guys that just go all out all the time, leave everything on the field, and try to get after the guy in front of him every time he have an opportunity to do that. And a guy that plays through pain and do everything he can to help his football team. A guy that's totally committed to the football team and helping them. I guess that's a better way to put it than what I did say before.
You had Royce, Hollins, and Winston as players of the game. Obviously, we know what Royce did, but what did you like about Hollins and Winston to earn those awards?
Well, I like with Hollins, just how he's been coming along over the last couple games. He's sort of like the rest of our guys, and that's what's good to see. Our guys are improving throughout these games, and he's been improving tremendously in these last couple ball games and this ball games, being physical the way we needed him to, and discipline and trying to contain Khalil was big. You know, he was really consistent in what we needed him to do in that ball game. And then same thing with Lamar. Ever since, I want to say, the UCLA game, he's just been totally different when it comes to communicating, just playing with fanatical effort, making plays out there. He's been stepping his game up. And I'm talking defensively, and then special team wise, he was all over the place. So Lamar is one of those guys that's taking advantage of his opportunity, you know, and he loves to compete. He reminds me of Troy Dye. When it comes time to compete, he's ready to roll, whether it's practice or in the game, and you love guys like that.
Rob on the left.
The guys referred to it a little bit before the Washington game too, but the way you've reminded them of some of those results from last year that have left the bad taste, what steps have you taken to kind of keep that fresh and use that as a way to motivate the team over the course of the year?
Oh, you're talking about the lowlights, right? That we show. We showed on the lowlights. Yeah. We just show them and remind them what that looked like, and just try to remind them that taste that they had in their mouth. I know all of them was ticked off when I got here. You hear everybody was ticked off, not just our players, but everybody. And considering it had been so long since that happened, that really just stays with you, you know. And unless you want that taste to continue, you better do something about it. And we got an opportunity to do something here in our in Austin Stadium and send these seniors out the right way. Their last game in Austin Stadium. So we owe it to all these guys to make sure we're preparing the way that we need to in order to go out and play the way we need to.
Back, Mark.
Coach, you obviously had some success recruiting in your career and here at Oregon. Men's basketball team is having quite a bit of success recruiting this year as well. I wanted to ask you personally, what do you think? Are you a better recruiter than Coach Altman of the basketball team?
I heard he got a #1 recruiting class, huh? That's big time. He got the bowl kit. Can I say that? Yeah. It's official. Oh, that's awesome. That's big time. That's Oregon. You know, that's how it should be here. And you look at the job that he's done over the last few years, that's recruiting good players. I do know this, that it's hard to win at a high level without good players. You know, so you got to go out and get the very best players you can get, because those schemes that you come up with, it's not going to work with just average guys. So you look at any team that win a championship, they got some really good football players or basketball players on their teams. And but I think it also shows you what you can do here at the University of Oregon and what they're doing. And we're trying to get on their level, you know. So I'm gonna ask them some tips. We're getting close, you know, and maybe he can give me some tips to take us over the top as we try to finish off this recruiting class. But he's a damn good coach and a damn good recruiter, and it's paying off for us.
Willie, kind of going off what Rob was saying, have you heard any of the guys talk about this being a revenge game? And are you the kind of coach that's going to coach revenge?
No, I didn't hear anybody talk about revenge or anything. They talk about how the dislike for each school and understanding that. But probably hear me reminding them what it was like in that locker room last year and during the springtime, or when they see some of those guys out, or just everyone's on you about it, just trying to remind them of it. But not about revenge. It's about us going out and doing the things that we intended to do from the beginning of the year. One of the things we said we wanted to do is win the first game and win the last game of the regular season, and we got an opportunity to do that here in our home. We wanted to win them all at home, and we stubbed our toe on one, and we got an opportunity to again finish this thing off the right way against our rival football team. So we got to go out and play our game and play the way that we know we're capable of. Again, I've been challenging these guys all year to see if we can play our best ball game, because we know if we play our best, we can beat anybody. And we hadn't played our best yet, and I thought last week was close, but then you put in the penalties and it took away from what we could have done. So we got another opportunity to see if we can put it all together and play our best ball game. And I challenged our guys to that, and I look forward to them doing it, and got an opportunity against our rival to do that.
Preston on the right.
Coach, obviously with Justin, you guys have been one of the best offenses in college football. Does it feel, weird that you guys are 6-5? Like, are you guys the best 6-5 team in the country? You struggle without him, but then you look almost unstoppable with him.
I don't know about the best 6-5. I don't know what that looks like. The best 6-5. Can you like? You can't put those two together, right? Best and 6-5. I think we can be a good football team if we're completely healthy. We can be a really good football team, and we can compete with the best of them if we have everybody. Unfortunately, we didn't, and those things happen, but that's part of growth, And the thing I'm most proud of is those things that we worked on in the off season of bringing people together, getting to know people, talking with our guys, not to our guys, and talking with them. And letting them have some discussion in it all. I think all those things has made a big difference in our football team this year, and really helped hold things together for us when things got tough. And that's the thing I'm most proud of with this football team, is that we didn't just go the other way when we could have easily done that, and by doing that, we got ourselves in a position where this thing could look a lot better than what we thought it was going to look like, And the beauty of it is everybody had a part of it. Everybody played a part of it, and you hear about how bad things were when Justin went in there, but Braxton helped win a football game for us. That was critical, and against a good football team, so everybody's played a part of it, and everybody's getting better, and that was the beauty, is everybody stayed together and looked out for each other, and that's going to pay off big time for us as we continue to move forward.
Last 2 years, you've been linked to a lot of coaches' hires and coaching searches. How do you handle that from a recruiting standpoint? And has that come up at all with your class? Because you've got a top 10 class as well.
You be honest, like you always be honest, and they ask you a question, you answer it, and that's the best way you can deal with any of these things. You have no control over it. You got to answer it and be honest with them. So I'm always honest with our players, our recruits, our coaches. I tell them, so it's not that hard, it's stories, and I have stories out there, so hadn't affected anything. Again, I wouldn't lie to any of them. I tell them exactly what it is. It's their lives and the most important time of their lives, so it's not fair to me to lie to anybody else that I'm going to affect their life. So be truly honest with them all when they ask. Couple guys, not everybody, because I haven't changed anything. And again, if they ask, I tell them the truth. Just like when you guys ask, I told you the truth. Sometimes I don't think you guys believe me, but that's just the world we live in. Those things gotta happen. So